Hello, it is Fabian Williams, marriage and family therapist, and I am outside for a change because it's like 900 degrees out here in April, so I definitely want to get out in it. Now, the fear is that we have bees everywhere trying to set up a home. They're making nests all over our house, so yeah, I'm going to be a little distracted, forgive me. But I wanted to talk about EMDR, and this is the perfect place to talk about eye movement desensitization and reprocessing because Francine Shapiro was the founder of EMDR, and she found it by being out in a park. She had some major distressing issue and found that walking in the park, one, of course, that's a resource because we tell you, or therapists speak of walking in the park, touching nature, being one with nature. All of that stuff is good for dealing with stress and distress. But she found that by watching birds go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and the movement of her eyes going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, created a level of dissipating or decreasing the level of distress she was experiencing from whatever her scenario was. So she began to study it and found this wonderful process called EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. One, what is EMDR not? It is not hypnosis. It is not hocus pocus. It is not, well, maybe it is a little magical, but I shouldn't do that because then people are like, I'm not trying that. You're trying to hypnotize me. No, that is not the case. It is this process that we actually stimulate the brain by bilaterally stimulating you as an individual. And then the brain begins to do the work of healing, much like what happens in your REM sleep process where you get to dream and you get to do all of that stuff. So the 8 stages or 8 phases of EMDR, and I'm going to read them because I am a new EMDR trained therapist. I don't know why I feel like I need to use that voice when I say that. I'm just so excited. I've been doing this for a whole year now, and I just finished my last consultation session at the end of the month. So I'm going to speak like this every now and again when I speak of my EMDR train. Okay, enough. So the 8 phases. 1 is history taking. 2, preparation, where we get you all resource. 3 is assessment, where we assess exactly what's going on. 4 is desensitization. 5, installation. 6, the body scan. Where does this show up in your body? 7, closure, and then 8 is the reevaluation phase. So yes, you will do this in 8 phases. We'll do things like finding your SUDS, your standard units of distress, your VOC, validity of cognition level, and we'll go through and not converse as much. It's not talk therapy. It's more processing. The processing does its work. So what is EMDR good for? It's good for, like, if you have major anxiety, if you have major panic attacks, if you have phobias, if you have sleep disturbances, if you have PTSD, or if you find yourself in a distressing moment and trauma keeps reintroducing itself. It's also good for like low self-esteem and self-worth and all that stuff. So there are many areas that EMDR helps. It is a I don't. It's a less stressful process, I believe, than talk therapy, because talk therapy often we reopen the wound and then we don't get the time to process that wound before the time and the session is up. So we're just opening that wound every time and talking about it again and again and again, which I do believe works. It just takes a longer process. And EMDR was a game changer for me because it was so much quicker. I know it works because we had to do it in our training. So that for me was enough to say that I am willing to learn this and utilize it for my clients, because I do have a lot of clients that have shown up with trauma, which is the reason for my, pursuing this traumatology degree, for me going and becoming a certified clinical trauma specialist. All of those things, trauma was guided or you know how they talk about purpose being that thing that you do, the thing that people come to you for. Okay, sorry, B. The thing that you do without noticing or thinking about it, or the thing that people come to you for and ask you about on a regular basis. And that was what was showing up in my client load. So I believe it was purposed by God. It drives me. It is my zhuzh. It's that thing that makes me want to get up in the morning and do this work. So with that being said, EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing. If you find yourself struggling with anxiety, with high levels of panic attacks and things like that, if you just can't get yourself together, if you find a traumatic memory constantly distressing you, reintroducing itself in different forms and different phases, if you find yourself being triggered by things that probably shouldn't, I don't like the word should, but probably don't trigger everyone else. Um, these are things you want to look into. I am not saying that you are diagnosed with PTSD, but I am saying that EMDR can help in various phases of your life. So if you find yourself interested in trying eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, feel free to call me or another EMDR specialist in your area, because this is truly a game changer. It is blowing my mind with the rapid rate at which it kind of helps a trauma to, I want to say dissipate, I want to say lower, lessen, get to the place where it no longer distresses you to the point where you can't do anything. Trauma can be debilitating, and we don't want you to be in a state where you can't produce what you're accustomed to being able to produce. So before that takes over, please reach out, knowing that EMDR is available to you. Again, I am Fabian Williams, marriage and family therapist with Life Anew. Have a blessed and beautiful